You know that feeling when modern life just gets a little too chaotic? Well, you're definitely not alone. It turns out that thousands of years ago, people in ancient China were asking the very same questions we are. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into some of their answers, which are surprisingly useful even today.
It's the big question, right? How do you find your calm when everything around you feels like a storm? This is a question people have asked forever, and some of the best answers came from ancient China during a particularly turbulent time.
I want you to just imagine living in a time of constant conflict, where everything felt uncertain. That was the reality for many people back then. But it was right in the middle of all that chaos that some amazing new ways of thinking were born. Philosophies that offered a path to harmony.
One of the very first and most powerful answers they came up with was a philosophy called Taoism, and it really offered a completely new way of looking at the world.
So what in the world is Taoism? Well, the word Tao itself just means the way. So think of Taoism as a guide to living in harmony with the natural way of the universe. It was founded by a wise teacher named Lao Tzu, and his big idea was this: stop fighting against the currents of life, and instead learn how to flow with them. This amazing quote from Lao Tzu really gets to the heart of it. He's saying, think about water. It seems soft, right? But over time, it's powerful enough to carve through solid rock. It's this beautiful reminder that true strength isn't always about being forceful and hard. Sometimes it's about being flexible and persistent.
Here's a really simple way to picture it. Imagine you're in a river. What happens if you try to swim against a strong current? You're going to get tired out really fast and you won't get very far. But what if you just relaxed and floated with the current? The river would just carry you along, no effort needed. Taoism says that life is that river. The key isn't to fight it, but to find its natural path and move with it.
You can really see this idea come to life in Taoist art, like this beautiful landscape. Just look at how huge the mountains and nature are, and then notice how tiny the people are in comparison. It's a way of showing that we're all just one small part of a much bigger, grander natural world. And by watching nature, we can learn how to find our own sense of harmony.
Now, a really important part of following the way is understanding one of the most famous ideas to come out of Taoism. I'm pretty sure you've seen this one before: yin and yang.
So yin and yang are basically two opposite forces that fit together perfectly. You can see them everywhere. Yin is the quiet, the dark, the cool, like the night. And yang is the active, the light, the warm, like the sun during the day. They seem like total opposites, but together they create a perfect balance.
But here's the most important part. They are not enemies. They're actually partners. A great way to think about it is like a battery. A battery needs a positive side and a negative side to create power. It just wouldn't work otherwise. In the same way, the universe needs both yin and yang. You can't have light without darkness, and you can't have warmth without cold. They define each other and create balance.
Okay, so Taoism offered one path to peace through nature. But another really profound philosophy arrived in China that offered a different kind of answer. This was Buddhism, and the story of how it got to China is pretty fascinating.
Just look at this. This enormous statue of the Buddha was literally carved right into the side of a cliff. It's an incredible symbol of just how important Buddhism became in China. It offered people a new way to find peace, not just out in the world, but inside their own minds.
Now, Buddhism didn't actually start in China. It began far away in South Asia. Its teachings had to travel thousands of miles, carried by merchants and monks along the famous Silk Road. These ideas crossed vast deserts and towering mountains to find a new home.
And here's the really cool part. When Buddhism got to China, it didn't just replace the beliefs that were already there. Instead, it started to blend with them, especially with Taoism. For instance, Buddhist ideas about letting go of attachments fit really well with Taoist ideas about living a simple life. And through this mixing, a new, uniquely Chinese form of Buddhism was born.
All right, we have covered a lot of ground, from flowing rivers to giant cliffside statues. So let's do a quick recap of the main ideas we've talked about.
So what are the big takeaways? First, ancient Chinese thinkers developed philosophies to bring order to a chaotic world. Second, Taoism teaches us to follow the natural way, to go with the flow, just like a river. Third, yin and yang are those opposite forces that aren't in conflict but actually work together to create balance. And finally, Buddhism arrived from South Asia and blended with Chinese culture, offering yet another path to finding peace.
The wisdom from these ancient philosophies is still so relevant, isn't it?
So think about it. Which of these ideas about finding balance in your own life feels the most helpful to you right now? It's a great question to ask yourself the next time the world feels just a little too chaotic.